Hey, it's Friday. Woo-hoo! All right, this one is going to be short, sweet, and snappy. Yeah, I know. We've talked enough this week. Here's why it's going to be short, sweet, and snappy. Because there's something going on that I don't think I've talked about in the episodes that I've done on here yet. So I thought, well, we would use this one to introduce it because it's really, if you look at the chart, everything that we've talked about all week is kind of there. And this one is really unique, so I thought I would just mention it. So our little friend, the moon, who's been the superstar of the week this week, is in Aquarius right now. And I mentioned that the day after, Wednesday, the day after the eclipse, right? Because the moon just was already almost through Capricorn, so it just tipped on over into Aquarius, got a good deep breath. Inhale, exhale, right? Just like a yoga class. Got some air finally in its lungs. Okay, then it's still in Aquarius. All right, that's not unusual because the moon could be 2 to 3 days in a sign. But here's the deal, and this is a little concept that I've played with, and maybe one of the reasons that I haven't mentioned it is because I don't know where I am with it. But I'll just throw it out there because it's something in astrology that you should be aware of, and I think it's something that you should play with and see how it affects your life. So the concept that you can Google and do some research on is moon void of course. That's VOID, void of course, C-O-U-R-S-E. In other words, it's off track, void of course. It has no rudder if it were a ship. So what the deal is if the moon is in a sign and it's tripping along and it passes through or it clears, it moves past its last major aspect, meaning the big ones, conjunct, opposition, sextile, trine, square. When there are no more of those left between that time and the time the moon goes into its next sign, which will be for this moon, leaving Aquarius, going into Pisces. And since we're talking about this, let's mark the exact time. So that will be 5:19 this afternoon Eastern Time in the U.S. Moon leaves Aquarius, goes into Pisces, but it has not had any aspects since, are you ready for this, just before noon yesterday. Now, in the scope of voids of courses, that's a long time. It's a really long time. Okay, where did all this come from? Let me give you a resource if you'd like to look at this in a little bit greater depth. Astrologer Judith Ora Ryan has written on this extensively. So if you search her, or her website is Astrology by Judith Ryan. She has a page on the void of course moon, and it's up on her menu, so it's real easy to find. And she talks about this coming from the late astrologer Al Morton, giving credit to whom credit is due, came up with this system, which is really hard to do without a computer. But he put together that when the moon goes into this void of course, passing its last aspect before it changes signs, that's some basically spiritual and physical downtime, because you just don't have any energetic support because the moon is void of course. Or if you were changing inflections, you could say void, of course. But he took it so far, and Judith Ryan has reiterated this, to say don't do things like start a new job, start a new project, be interviewed for a job, submit your resume, record a podcast. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't make purchases. Don't call on clients. Don't go on interviews. Don't go on a first date. For God's sakes, don't get married. Don't open a business. Don't hold a party or a social affair. And don't go gambling. And what you're supposed to do is prayer and meditation, sleep, dream, do non-important or non-material matters, if someone was filing something against you in a court of law, she says this would be a good day to do it against you, right? Because it tips it in your favor. And don't close any doors to any kind of loose ends that are not tied up. Now, I worked with some folks who followed this really seriously, and for several months I kind of played with it, and honestly, it didn't, maybe I didn't give it 100%, but I'm just saying, play with it yourself and see what comes up. But that's the concept, and this is one of the longest voids of courses that you'll see. So I thought, let's just talk about void of course today and kind of put it out there and let you start playing around with it. You know, you might see a pattern, and for you, that might work really well. And then the other thing is, I think you just have to balance life, too. I mean, if you're busy, you got kids, it's like, sorry, kids, we're going to pray for the next 36 hours. How would that work for you? So I think you have to be practical, too, right? But it is something you can play with, where when the moon goes into void of course, you can just take some little time outs. Now, this is where I love the free app that you can download from the App Store called Time Nomad. There are some paid things that you can put on it, but its core is free. And the summary page, the summary column, has all of the times in your time zone of the voids, of course, of the moon. Great place to get that information. So that's called Time Nomad. Love that app. The guy that developed that is a rock star. He did a great job. Okay, have a great weekend. I will see you tomorrow for Saturday's version, and we might do a little bonus this Sunday as well. That's kind of fun to do too. So anyway, make it a great TGI Friday. We'll see you.